So Matt says he has some type of surprise for me today. I have no clue what we're filming, so I think he's coming any minute now. Hey Matt, are you about ready?
Here it is.
A printer? Are we like that down bad, dude?
No. This has some special alien technology in it.
I mean, we don't review a lot of printers, so that probably will be kind of alien-like for us.
No, an actual alien technology computer.
Oh, Alienware.
And it's a great deal. And we're gonna unbox it and find out after a word from today's sponsor.
If you've been thinking of building a new PC, upgrading your current rig, or just grabbing parts you've had your eye on, February is a great time to do it with today's video sponsor, Microcenter. February's theme is Build, Upgrade, Save over at Microcenter. And they're running some seriously strong BYO deals that help make custom builds a lot more affordable in today's market. There are some solid discounts across core components, and one deal that really stood out to me is this Ryzen 7600X 3D, MSI B850, and 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM combo for just $400. This is a great combo to plan your budget build around. Also, if you're in Texas, this is big news. Austin is getting a brand new Microcenter. To celebrate the opening, they're offering a free 128 gig flash drive, so if you're nearby, make sure to sign up ahead of time and take advantage of that bonus when the store opens. And while you're browsing deals or planning your next build, be sure to check out Microcenter News. It's a great resource for keeping up with new hardware launches, build guides, and overall tech coverage, especially if you like staying informed before making a purchase. So whether you're putting together a fresh build, upgrading your setup, or just keeping up with the latest in tech, check out the links down below and head over to Microcenter today. Big thanks again to Microcenter for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to it.
So we picked this Alienware up on eBay for $371. You guys know we're not strangers to Alienwares. We reviewed quite a few of them because they, for some reason, have some of the best bang for buck. They're like the Mercedes or the Porsche of the PC world.
And no matter what, even in a RAM market that is an absolute mess, they still stay at good prices. And this one right here is no exception. This is an Aurora R11 with an i7-10700, 16 gigs of RAM, a 256 gig SSD with a 1 terabyte hard drive, and a 2060 Super for once again $371, and that is after shipping. The original listing was a little bit less. So at this price point, we're looking at 1080p medium high settings performance. Based on the fact it showed up in this printer box, we don't really know what kind of condition it showed up in. And I think it came from what was called an e-waste company on eBay, which makes it even better. I think it's City E-Waste. City E-Waste. So somebody either donated this or brought this to them. They have a bunch of stuff on their eBay page, by the way, that is like laptops, desktops, things like that they seem to refurbish and make work, but you never really know what you're gonna get when you buy from City E-Waste.
It's kind of sad if somebody actually e-wasted this PC.
And it works just fine. That is really crazy.
A lot of people's dreams. That's a good PC.
Yeah, the Alienware market is always fun, and that's why we always buy these as kind of like a proof of concept that looking around on eBay for these, especially if you're just balling on a budget, is still a good option even in this horrid economy we're in right now.
And what's interesting is this Alienware, when it came out, was about $1,500, which honestly for Alienware, this would have been fairly entry level at the time for 10th gen.
Yeah, and Alienware has always been really expensive, but for some reason their value drops like a rock, mainly because they probably come out so expensive.
It's like for anyone who didn't understand my German car meme at the beginning, they lose their value a lot when they drive off the lot, just like this Alienware.
Yay!
Is there anything else in that box?
All right, so in the bottom of the box, we have more packing material, and that is about it. I don't know if we get a power cord. Is there a power cord in there?
I don't know. Maybe. I've seen some people put it. I've seen some people put it inside of the PC. I started speaking alien. This is one of my favorite styles too. I like the R series. They're always bizarre looking, you know. They always look like a printer.
All right, so this one, oh, I heard some rattling in there.
Dude, I'm getting shocked like crazy.
Oh, what was that noise?
Move it up again? Sometimes maybe they didn't put a screw back in.
That might be it.
Because those power supplies are usually only held in by like one.
This piece right here, maybe? Yeah, because the Alienware has like a hinge power supply system, so it like normally opens up, and if you don't put that one screw back on, it could kind of flop around a little bit. That might be what it is. GPU is secure and in there.
Did it really not include a power cord?
No power cord. I don't know if that was on the listing or not. If that was, we'll include it right here, and if that's the case, McAllister, I don't know what you'll do about it. You'll do something funny about it. Oh, I see the problem.
Oh, look, it's missing from right here.
So that came out in shipping. That's very random.
So they must have had like the GPU out. Okay, so look, you have to take both of these up.
Okay.
Oh, and you have to undo that screw. Where is that PC Alien? I can stick it back in real quick.
So yeah, that pop down shipping was bouncing around. Not ideal, but you know, it is what it is. You never know when there's a piece of metal flapping around inside the computer during shipping. Very well, something could be wrong with it for sure.
All right, it's back in.
Initial impressions before I guess we tear everything apart, I will say it looks like it was at an e-waste place. It has some rough edges around it, but some of it seems to be a lot of dirt, which could just be wiped off. We'll do our usual little cleaning.
Sure it turns on first before we tear it apart, and then people like blame us, you know, for not working.
Let's see if it actually powers on.
Press the alien. Sounds like a spaceship.
Sounds like it's taking off.
Looks like all the fans are spinning. Yeah, everything sounds okay so far. We got indicator LED in the back.
Here, you know what? Let's just go the extra mile. Let's just plug it up to our monitor. Again, we're triple checking. We don't want the Commodore saying the Toasty Bros broke something again. Will she post?
Okay, it knows it has display. Oh.
Hey, what's the warning
Keyboard initialization failure, so just no keyboard.
Okay, so she posts, that's cool. Looks like we're going into Windows right now to our SSD. We'll show you guys what this thing looks like on the inside before we get to full benchmarking, because the biggest thing about these Alienwares and the biggest downside is they are pretty proprietary in terms of power connectors and things like that. You can pull some stuff from this for a new build, but for the most part, you're buying this similar in the vein of like a Victus or an Optiplex, any of those like office PCs. You're kind of buying it to use, and then once you reach the ceiling, you sell it and move it on to the next build.
Yep, so we'll show you guys how easy/hard these are to take apart, because they're not the most fun. What if Windows is installed in the hard drive?
256 gig SSD, which I'm assuming is a 2.5 inch. We'll verify that when we go in there. And then a 1 terabyte hard drive. So storage, not the best. You are gonna be using a hard drive for a majority of your games, which in modern titles can be a little problematic, but for older games, not a big deal, especially at this price.
Did RGB ever come on? Must need software.
I'm curious, as the pictures did not show RGB, so I'll have to check and see if this model has I know it has the cutout for it, but I'm not sure if this specific one has it lit up.
All right, so we should be able to do this, and then there should be this screw right up here. We actually normally, I feel like we never put these back on. We usually forget.
Yeah, so that goes up.
And then this whole thing, there we go.
Oh, good.
Almost ripped the GPU out.
Yo. Barely unplugged that. GPU is unplugged, remember that. So here's the inside with our little liquid cooler, which we'll see what the temps are like. Obviously, we need to clean this up afterwards, which I think in general it's gonna need a little bit of a cleaning. It's a bit of a mess before the PC ends up at PC Bros, our PC selling business. We got that 120 mil liquid cooler.
Single channel RAM.
Single channel RAM, which is unfortunate for 16 gigs. It may have come like that, honestly. Alienware, it wouldn't surprise me at this price point if it came with single channel. So that will be something with the benchmarks we'll have to keep an eye on.
This is cool. This one's new enough where it actually has a WLAN chip, so wireless chip that probably has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. It's right there if Jonah can see it. It's kind of weird. It's like a half M.2.
Nice.
Like it doesn't take up the full lane. And then, it's actually a Micron NVMe SSD.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
That's sick. And then our single fan 2060 Super, which we now have unplugged, but that card has 8 gigs of VRAM, which is nice compared to the normal 2060 with only 6. So this one will have much more longevity and it's a good amount faster, and we'll make sure that it's plugged back up. Again, there is a little bit of an upgrade room here with this system. We'll obviously test it out of the gate and show you guys what it can do. The best part about these is probably GPU wise, because what? The power supply wattage, did we figure that out at all?
Oh no, that's a good, yeah, I should check that before we fully put this back. Well, so it's been a long time since I've seen a 2060 Super. Like it's kind of a blast from the past.
It is kind of a weird card, but it is one that if you can find in a system like this, pretty good value still.
Okay, so what else do we have for power? Is that another 8-pin?
So we have an 8-pin here and another 8-pin. So we got 2 8-pins. So in theory, if we're in like the 650 to 700 range, like you could upgrade this thing. You will be limited Gen 3 with that 10700, which might be a bottleneck in some modern GPUs, but 5060.
You could go with like a 2080 Super.
2080 Super
would
be
good upgrade.
Yes.
480 watts? Wow.
Really? That seems low for an Alienware.
That's oil on my fingers, I promise.
It's all.
Oh yeah, because the model is a D550, so I'm almost thinking maybe it's a 550 watt. Do we see 550 anywhere else maybe? Because that might just be one rail. Yeah, it does say 480. I don't know, based on the model, it would tell me it's a 550 watt, but we can do a little research on that. Jonah's got some good footage here. Yeah, it's hard to say. Either way though, I feel like, 2080 would work in here in theory.
That should work. It would be cutting it close, especially. And I'm surprised they give you 2 8-pins for that level of wattage. But I would assume with the kind of power supply it is, it would be okay going a little bit over that. But again, upgrader, beware when you're dealing with that. We'll get this all put back together. We'll make sure everything works once we get into Windows. And from there, we'll see if for the price performance is there. Single channel memory might be a problem. Maybe this CPU will need a thermal paste swap. We'll get to that when we get to that. But let's get to gaming.
We are testing out Arc Raiders, a nice AAA-esque title that runs on just about anything. We're running 1920 by 1080p, DLSS set to quality on the CNN model, and we do have ray tracing set to static, which is basically like off, and then we're running at medium settings. This is an RTX card, but it is the very most entry level, I guess +1 because it's super RTX card. I do this every time. Let me pass this, dang it.
And I will say this will be an interesting test. I don't really know if it's impacting things that much, but I installed everything on the hard drive on purpose because we don't have a lot of SSD storage. Realistically, I could have installed 1 or 2 games and the other games could have performed better. So I figured let's throw them all on the hard drive and see if this hard drive will end up being an issue.
This is decent enough hardware. I feel like we shouldn't be getting the lows like we're getting.
It could be single channel memory too. So
it could be. Yeah, that is. I forgot about that.
There are 2 variables there. So single channel memory and hard drive speeds could be the problem because our usage across the board, we're not even maxing anything out. Like GPU's not maxed out, CPU's not maxed out, and we're getting that stutter.
Yeah, I know at home, I have a 4 terabyte hard drive and a lot of my games, I have slowly transferred all of them over because every time I go back, like the finals, for example, I got horrible lag spikes, what felt like really bad latency. I put it on my SSD, ran fine. Same with Overwatch, so I don't know, it's hard to say. I wish we had a second monitor so we could like have, because the hard drive's maxed out right now.
The hard drive probably is maxed out. It's probably just vibing right now. And for some of the games, I'll keep note of the ones that are having major issues. I'll try to go back and install some of them on the SSD overnight and see if that does make a difference. But for the most part, I figured anyone who gets this PC in this configuration, they're only going to install maybe 1 or 2 games on that SSD, then they're going to have to use the hard drive.
And that's where being selective with the games can be good too. Like, put your games that you're not going to play very often in the hard drive and like your main games. Or if they're like low-end games, they're probably fine in the hard drive. Can I say hi?
Oh, there's a lot of people hanging out here. They're like, we destroyed this thing together. This is our creators, baby.
I need to find a bot to kill.
They killed that thing
Yeah,
together.
they took down a big boy.
Temperature GPU does seem to be running a bit warm considering the usage is only at 47%. We're at 80 degrees. So repasting on that thing would be worthwhile. CPU is not bad though. CPU is actually holding up pretty good. And I feel like that's always been the case with these Alienwares because of that liquid cooler. It does a pretty good job.
He was following me for a second. It's creeping me out. Is there like no robots in this game? Did they kill them all? We must destroy the AI bots. I don't understand. Okay, well.
All right, we're outie.
I guess I'll just leave. Yeah, I'm curious to see, because I know for sure that these specs, minus the RAM and hard drive, that's the questionable part. I know if this was on an SSD with dual channel 16 gigs, I know we'd be getting probably around the same FPS, but definitely not as many like stutters, which it seems like they've leveled out some.
Yeah, it might have loaded in a bunch of stuff already. So
could have just been loading really slow because of the hard drive.
Yes. Anyone hiding down here?
Hello?
No, they basically exterminated them all. They're all gone.
I don't know. I feel like this is the first time I've never been able to like find a bot.
There's no arcs and arc raiders. It's just raiders.
It's just raiders.
It's just raiders.
Maybe that's what if they're trying to get more PvP by taking bots out?
Oh, they want people to fight each other. They don't want the friendliness anymore.
It's a good psychology thing,
Yeah, what are we looking at with Arc Raiders player count, guys?
238,000 people still.
Yep.
People just love this game, man. They're in it.
It seems like it leveled out. So average 64 and our 1% lows closer to the 30s once we loaded stuff in.
Let's try something else. Boys, the hard drive is not it. I don't even have an arm.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh my.
Look at the arm though.
God, look at the arm texture. Here, let me show you guys the settings we're currently running real quick, by the way, because this is out of control. Medium settings, DLSS set to balanced. Yeah, no FPS cap or anything. Okay, it's loading in. The textures just look blocky, man. All right, note to self, if you have a hard drive in your PC,
It's like borderline. At this point, they should just be used for like photos, videos, stuff like that for games. Unless it's an older game that was designed to run on a hard drive. Anything made within the last 5 years, I would just put on an SSD.
yeah, and that's where, well, things are a little bit weird. We do have an SSD for testing that I might throw in here and reinstall some of these games so I can just test them back again, because most certainly the hard drive is not the vibe for this one. And it sucks that SSD pricing is going up, which would make this deal a little bit less appealing, especially if you're gonna be someone who finds one of these with a hard drive in it, because in this era, hard drives are still perfectly fine for games. But I've always had the theory that modern games are being designed for consoles that are running on pretty fast SSDs now. So hard drives are gonna cause issues with trying to load things in. And the FPS is settling down a little bit. We'll go ahead and hit page up. I think it's chilled out enough for me to actually log the FPS a bit. But running these settings, I still feel like we should be getting a little more performance, but I think we're getting hit with a double whammy. The hard drive loading stuff in, and then we're like, oh wait, I only have single channel memory. So I'm still limited in terms of that with my FPS. So give or take.
So you could argue this was just a really good deal, and that's kind of the caveat, is single channel and hard drive.
Yeah, that is definitely the caveat and why it was so cheap. I don't think the people selling it considered that, but it's one of those things where if you're looking at this on paper thinking, why is this wait a minute. Why is this a deal? Why was this so cheap? This is where the limitation is, because I'm starting to get that like laggy, like slow effect that you had on your one PC.
The
I feel like,
Frankenstein.
yeah, I feel like I'm walking drunk.
Yeah, and all your movement just feels like a little bit more delayed than you want it to be.
So again, doesn't mean this is unusable for other games. We are trying 2 popular, really higher-end games right now, which we'll throw in some other ones as well to fully test this thing. But on the hard drive, little suspect. If I get some kills though, I'm cooking. Oh goodness.
Cooking.
I'm cooking, but also sliding around. Feels like I'm on like ice skates.
You're on thin ice.
I'm on thin ice, buddy. Oh, that was a grenade. There's so many things happening.
A single
Oh,
fan,
God.
Single fan 2060 could maybe use a repaste too.
Yeah.
It is single fan. We are at 65% usage at like 82, 83C.
This is one of the rare times where we bought a used PC. I mean, we get used PCs with pretty bad deals, but it's one of the rare times we bought a used PC where it needs to go back into the lab for a little bit to continue this testing, because it's in its current configuration, it's fine. I will run the benchmarks beforehand, but I think we'll probably go ahead and install games on another SSD just to verify if it is SSD or single channel. I think the SSD is gonna make a world of difference, even a 2.5-inch drive. But
It has a lot more potential, we think.
it has potential on paper, and I definitely want to give it that potential and also give you guys a realistic cost analysis on what that would cost to see if the deal is still worth it after that. But Battlefield 6, less than playable in my opinion. No settings are really going to change that a ton. Let's go ahead and we'll run some other benchmarks behind the scenes, but we're gonna install some of the games on the SSD now because I did have pretty much everything installed on the hard drive. So we're gonna try reinstalling some of these games. I'll run these back to show you guys if there is a major difference. If not, I'll mention it and say, hey, there is no major difference. But then we'll play the other games on an SSD as well just to see what performance we can get.
1 day later.
All right, guys, well, we did some more testing. It's the next day, obviously, and I installed all the games that we tested, Arc Raiders and Battlefield 6, on a new SSD. And I loaded up the games again. You'll see the footage on screen here. While we did see improvements in load times and no more of that weird texture bug-in issue we had with Battlefield 6, the performance stayed about the same. So the hard drive was impacting things, but also it really did seem like a major factor was the single channel memory, and will be a major factor, and probably something you guys are gonna have to deal with throughout the year if you're someone who deal hunts PCs like this, because especially if these places know how expensive this hardware is, they're gonna start splitting up RAM into multiple systems and selling single channel systems. Sadly, it really hurts on DDR4, DDR5 not that much, but this is a realistic test of what you can expect in terms of performance. So we're currently continuing on the SSD with another game. This is Clair Obscure Expedition 33, and we're currently running the following settings. We're on low settings with DLSS set to quality, and we're on, low settings, 1080p. Nothing too crazy. Let me verify, are we actually on 1080p here? Yeah, let's see, this looks really high res. Yep, 1080p, okay, cool. You know, it's playable. Not the smoothest experience in the world. Getting below 60 FPS, not really what I would like to see personally playing this game. And those lockups right there is still a thing. Yeah, we're gonna have to do some testing. I'll probably end up running 1 or 2 more of these games back with one of our kits of 16 gigs dual channel that we do have, just to see if there is a difference. I would assume so based on the usages I'm seeing. Our GPU is not maxed out. Our CPU is just chilling there. So we're not bottlenecked by those scenarios. We have to be bottlenecked somewhere else. And to be honest, maybe it's because I haven't seen single channel DDR4 in a bit. This is a pretty extreme bottleneck. So we'll have to see if that is the reason on what's going on here. Yeah, that 1% low, I would definitely take that with a grain of salt. In this game, it normally means just us loading into a battle scene. There's always that 1% low stutter, but then normally it settles out just fine. That was pretty easy. Our GPU is desperately in need of a repasting too, so that's something we're gonna have to look into, because yeah, hitting 85C, that is most certainly in a problem. You know, I don't think it's likely, but maybe our GPU is throttling down a little bit. We're at like 70% usage, we're hitting 85, 144 watts. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but that could be a factor as well. There are actually troubleshooting things we're gonna need to try with this PC to fully figure out what's going on. So just for the sake of quick testing, I'm gonna grab the RAM kit. I'm gonna throw it back in here. I'm gonna load this back up, see if there's a difference. If there is a difference, We know that's the difference overall. And then we'll run the built-in benchmarks back at the original configuration, because I still think it's important for you all to see what this looks like out of the box and not just upgrade the heck out of this thing, because 16 gigs dual channel memory, quite expensive. Probably will take away a lot of the value of this PC. So we'll go ahead and throw in those same sticks of memory, come back into Claire, see if that makes a difference at all in this game. And if it does, then we know the root cause.
All right, guys, here is our kit of the Ripjaw G-Skill memory, 16 gigs. We did take out our single HyperX Fury stick that was in there. So yeah, we're gonna toss this in here, see what dual channel can do, but just wanted to show you guys what we're gonna be using for the benchmarks.
All right, guys, we are back in with the dual channel kit of memory, 16 gigs. We're gonna hit page up. And this is looking better. This is looking like it's making a difference. I think we've gained, at least in the 1% lows for sure, we've gained like 20 to 30 FPS. The averages are a good solid 60. Let me make sure our settings have not changed. We were on low settings with DLSS set to quality, 1080p. Yeah, nothing's changed too much there. Let me rest here so that I can fight the same battle that we did before and see if the FPS stays above 60, unlike what it was before. The FPS has improved. Our GPU usage is higher. I think our GPU is due for repasting, which could help us out a little bit more. But realistically, yeah, this does make a pretty big difference. I think you can tell by GPU usage alone, we're not being bottlenecked there. This scenario is still pretty demanding, 40 to 50 FPS. So realistically, we might just be limited by our GPU here. That is exactly what I should expect from a 2060 Super. It's just an aged card, you know? But when we're talking about a PC under $400, again, I did upgrade it with the RAM, so that does make a pretty big difference. You know, it is an interesting thing to see. So let's see if we can finish this battle real quick. Yeah, we're getting about an average of 56, the 1% low of 34. We didn't even get that 1% low stutter loading in, so the dual channel memory seems to make a pretty big difference. I think just based on GPU usage alone, up to the 90 percentile when it was normally in like the 50 to 60% means we're not held back anymore by our RAM. Now, the last thing I'm gonna do, just to make sure we have tested absolutely every variable before we run all our benchmarks in its final configuration, I'm gonna take this GPU out and do a repasting, because something about watching the wattages right now makes me wonder if there's something going on here, because we're going all the way from 143 to 128 to 158 to 167. We're all over the place with our wattages, and once it hit 85, it's downclocking. Maybe we're losing some performance here. So let's do the GPU repasting, come back in one more time with Clair Obscure and see if all those changes we made a lot of sense, and then probably just swap back to the single stick, because that is much more realistic in this market to still be running this, but with a cleaned up GPU.
I will say the cooling on this card is some of the more mediocre cooling I've seen, so I don't know how much thermal paste will really help, but we're gonna give it a go. To change thermal paste on this, we're just gonna need to remove these 4 screws, it looks like, and it might just come right off, so we'll see what happens. Nope, we're gonna need to do this screw and this screw as well. All right, she was just a little bit stuck because of the thermal paste. I mean, it looks a little dried up. It honestly isn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, so, you know, we'll see. See if this works. I will say this is just a very mediocre cooling solution for this GPU, but the thermal throttling, or the wattages fluctuating, just gave me cause for concern, so we'll clean this up. You can definitely tell this is stock paste. Shout out to Arctic, we're gonna put a little MX6 on here. My fingers are gonna have to get dirty, I guess. In a perfect world, I'd have a spatula. This will still spread out on its own and be pretty good. I trust that. Before the one guy in the comments starts yelling at me. Dang, you can tell there's a lot of heat buildup here. Look at the marks left behind. All right, here she is. Put that back there. Repasted. I'll give it a little blowout with our Blowometron, but then plop it right back into our PC and see if that made a difference.
All right, guys, we are back on the 2060 Super with the dual channel memory and new thermal paste on the GPU. Those temperatures are already looking pretty good. We're gonna give it a little bit of time to heat up though, because it is rising a bit, but we are now pretty comfortably at the 150 watt range. We're not dropping down dramatically like we were before, standing in the exact same spot. Temperature is rising a bit, so we'll see where things level out, but it isn't an instant spike like it was before, which is, well, a good sign. But we'll go ahead and run around here. Let's hit page up. I will say it's not really resulting in this game, at least, to crazy improvements in FPS. It's basically the same. It does seem like it's helping out a little bit. So that is a cool thing to see, that we added that and got better temperatures at least. So we'll give it some time here. Again, it is slowly rising. Come on, we need to stay below that 80 degrees. Come on now. I really do think the cooler is just super inadequate. It's just not great for this GPU. But if we stay below 80, keep it around 73, 74, and not hit the 85 degrees Celsius, we might get overall better FPS at times. So here's a spot where it's pretty demanding. And yeah, the FPS is still about the same. So at least in this game, it doesn't look like it's gonna make a performance difference, but it will make a difference in the long run in probably other games because it is helping out with the cooling here. So let's do this, yo. A relentless combo, here we go. I haven't parried in a long time. There we go. Nice. And we'll do a Berserker Slash. Nice. Yeah, this is already looking a lot better. 76C is what we're kind of chilling at. It is going to fluctuate a bit as percentages change, but 76C so far seems to be what we're going to level out at, and the wattages look much more consistent. So, hey, this is looking pretty good. What I'm gonna do for the built-in benchmarks, because I really do think I shouldn't focus on the dual channel memory. That's just too expensive an upgrade for people to really consider for a PC at this price point. For people who are going to want a PC at this price point, I'm putting the single stick back in. We're running all the benchmarks with the new thermal paste, and then we'll end this video. This Alienware is gonna need more of a cleaning, surface cleaning and things like that, and we'll do that during the outro and show you guys what all we did. But for the most part, we hit 77, a little bit higher, but I still feel really good about what we're looking at here temperature-wise and performance-wise. We'll see what this thing can do with the single channel memory and wrap this video up.
So after some benchmarks and considering the price of $371 on our Alienware, it did pretty good actually. Now, Matt and I think the whole time, we remember the 2060 being so good when it came out, but it has been quite a few years, and so I think we're kind of holding it up on a pedestal, but realistically, it's probably not much better than the RTX 3050 6GB that most of you guys hate. And at the end of the day, the PC, $371, you just have to have some expectations with it, and Matt did try a lot of fixes to see if we were missing something, and it didn't do much.
One thing I did fix though is the RGB is working. You guys saw during the unboxing, it wasn't working. It is working now. Just had to download the software from Alienware's website. Just look up the model number, download it, and we're good to go. You can now control the RGB if you want to. So if you have an Alienware and it doesn't have working RGB, do that. That'll most likely fix it. But we did run some more benchmarks, just a couple. We ran 3D Mark and CS2 to fully round out the full benchmark rotation on this, and we're gonna talk about those numbers in the configuration with single channel memory and the GPU repasted. CS2, 1080p low, we ended up with an average of 327 FPS with a 1% low of 116.
And in 3D Mark Time Spy, we got a score of 8,658, which is a 4 cents per point score. That's pretty crazy. So at the end of the day, we're still correct. The Alienwares are some of the best bang for buck when you find them for the right price on eBay, and hey, we are the price to performance pros here.
But at the end of the day, a $371 gaming PC is not gonna be great for the latest and greatest titles. It's gonna be good for your esports titles and getting into PC gaming on a budget. And as we mentioned, you could slap in another GPU in the system if you wanted to. So definitely do some deal hunting for Alienwares if you're trying to get into PC gaming on a budget by using that link down below. It's an affiliate link and it will help us out. Let us know if you bought an Alienware recently on the used market, or if you're browsing for one. I wanna hear what kind of deals you guys find.
But as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.
So this PC will be one you can pick up at PCBros.tech for an absolute great price, and we got warranties there too.
PCBros.tech. You could buy this Alienware or other stuff we feature on the YouTube channel and other PCs you may not know we have built. Go to PC Bros and buy them today. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You will save 3% your next purchase. See you guys later. Bye-bye.